everyone. I hope everyone's having a lovely Sunday, had a great week, and is looking to a great week ahead. As I sit here in Alexandria, looking across the beautiful sea, I'm reflecting on this week and the climate change conference that's currently taking place in Sharm el-Sheikh. And I've been thinking a lot about climate change and what we can do as human beings to help address this crisis or do our part. And I think one of the things that we can start doing, which is really, really simple, is listening. Not a lot of people listen. A lot of people like to talk and get their voice out there. I'll admit I like to talk as well. But sometimes it's just nice to listen and to observe so you can learn from other people, from their practices, how they address issues, and maybe find ways to collaborate with other people as well. And this takes me back to my flight to Egypt. I was seated next to this amazing lady, Vandewi Toto. And the funny thing is, that we didn't speak the same language. I didn't speak Portuguese and she didn't speak English. But there was just something about the way that she was interacting or trying to interact with me that made me reach out to her and find out what it is that she does. And it so happened that she was also involved in the climate change advocacy and awareness, and she's a politician from Brazil. And if I hadn't taken the time to listen to her, I could have been like any other passenger on that plane, hooked to my phone and ignoring the person next to me, closed up in my little bubble and not thinking about what the person next to me might have to say or might want to share with me. And I know it's kind of risque speaking to strangers, but then again, we live in a global world, in a global economy, and we cannot isolate ourselves or insulate ourselves from challenges just because we do not want to be involved with others or get to know others. And I think this also takes me back to a post I read from a really good friend of mine, FK van der Wouw. She lives in the Netherlands, and she was also reflecting about the COP and about the fact that we are now living in these little bubbles where we are only concerned about ourselves and what we think and not really looking outward into the world to see what's happening and how we can help, shape dialogue or work together. And so my takeaway through this whole week, even with all that's going on with the conferences, with the talks, and the panel discussions, is that yes, it is important for us to come and share the experiences we have, but it is even more important for us to listen and to observe, because we don't know whether what we are going to say is going to be meaningful until we listen to what the other person is saying and try to understand where they're coming from. And maybe one of the challenges we have and why the COP takes such a long time and works really gradually is because a lot of people don't like to listen. So we should probably be humbling ourselves and listening more. And just being authentic and being eager to learn. It doesn't hurt you to walk up to someone or just pay attention to someone else and what they are saying before you say something. And I know this sounds a little controversial, but sometimes it does work. And yes, of course, we do have to think about some of the big issues, which is the financing of it and the NDCs and what are the politicians doing. But we can also look within us and see what we can do as human beings. What will our contribution be, even if it's the smallest of contributions towards taking climate action? And one of the things I think that also helps a lot is appreciating people's cultures, understanding where their cultures are from and respecting those cultures, because sometimes a dialogue will be cut short because two people from two different cultures cannot come together to understand where the other person is coming from. So understanding that is really important. And I think that it's also interesting that even as the COP is happening in Sharm el-Sheikh, the people who are in Alexandria and who are in Cairo hardly know what we're talking about, what the COP is, what is climate change. And most of this is because of the language barrier. And maybe if we were talking to them in a language they understood, maybe they would be able to engage and to be more concerned about what's going on. But what we notice when we walk through the streets of Cairo and Alexandria is that a lot of people don't know about the climate change conference. They may not even know that climate change is happening, and they do not know whether they should be taking action. Very few of them do, and it's probably because they aren't being engaged at the grassroots level to understand how this affects them and what they can do, or because no one has bothered to talk to them about it. So while you go into this next week of COP, for those of you who are here, I hope that you take the time to listen more and engage in meaningful conversations with people who may not speak the same language as you, who may not look like you, who may not dress like you, who may not have the same passport as you, but who still want to contribute to the climate change crisis. And so I leave you with that, and I hope you have a great week ahead, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye.